Hari Om, everybody. Welcome back to class. Hope everybody had a great summer. If people had to travel, I think it was a bit better this year. We know what Tripti is joining us from India, so that's really creditable. Anyway, so today we are going to embark on a new chapter, chapter 4. And so just a little bit of revision in chapter. We have done 3 chapters now. In chapter 1, what we saw the problem, what the problem was. Arjuna had a problem. He was on the battlefield, ready for battle, but was unable to battle, to fight, because of delusion, which is wrong thinking. So the incorrect thinking was that I am the body, and because of that, he is my grandfather, he is my guru, these are my cousins, this is my family, these are swajanam hi katham hatva, my own people, how I can kill. So this thought arose from the thought that I am the body. Because I'm the body, they are my relatives. To the antidote to incorrect thinking is correct thinking. So Bhagwan gave the right line of thinking by starting at the highest standpoint, saying that you are not the body and neither are they. You are the soul and so are they, and the soul is indestructible. So actually there is no killing happening, and that is the highest. So the soul is eternal. It can never die. It is birthless, it is deathless, it is changeless. It can never die. And from there, he because Arjun couldn't grasp it, because if he had grasped it at that point, verse 30, he would have said, oh, I got it, Bhagwan, let's fight. That's how we know that he didn't get it. Otherwise, he would have stopped right there. He didn't stop Bhagwan. He was still like, yeah, so what? And so Bhagwan then told him the lowest standpoint, which is his duty. It was his duty. He was a Kshatriya. He was standing on the side of Dharma. It was his duty to kill the people who were adharmic. And Bhagwan said, at the very least, perform your duty, because performance of duty will give you heavens, a guaranteed post position in the heavens. But Bhagwan said, but because you are my devotee, you are my friend, I want you to get something more than the heavens. I want you to have moksha or liberation. And so this action that you have to do it with a special attitude of surrender to the Lord. We saw the seed of Karma Yoga in verse 47. Bhagwan telling him that action is necessary right now on the battlefield. Action is necessary. Do it as Karma Yoga, which will purify your mind and take you to final liberation. But at the very end, Bhagwan said that knowledge is the direct means to liberation, which is correct, which is true, which is how it is. So Arjun then in chapter 3 had a question. He says, if knowledge is the direct means, why can't I go for knowledge? The question is actually, meant for means because we are here. Maybe Arjun was ready to go there, but we are not. So Bhagwan put this question in Arjuna's mouth, saying, you say that knowledge is the direct, because we can also have such a question now, why I should do Karma Yoga? Direct means only I will go. So then Bhagwan gives him the discourse on Karma Yoga, which we have seen in great detail. Karma is inevitable. It is not possible for anybody to live without doing some or the other action. And therefore, this action has to be done with a special attitude so that the mind is purified enough that it can understand the highest standpoint, which Arjun didn't understand in chapter 2. And the reason for that not understanding was the mind, which was not highly purified. He had likes and dislikes, which we saw in verse 1. He said, who are these evil sons of Dhritarashtra, who are, I want to see them. So that is what tells us that there were likes and dislikes in his mind. There are likes and dislikes in our mind. And therefore, we also need to convert karma into Karma Yoga. So chapter 3 told us about the attitude in action. But Karma Yoga is not the goal. So we cannot stop at just doing Karma Yoga. We need to move ahead. And we then, from Karma to Karma Yoga to Karma Sannyas, renunciation of karma, and we must clearly understand what renunciation is, what is meant by the word renunciation. Is it just physical giving up of action, which Arjun was ready to do? If it was just a physical renunciation of action, Arjun was ready to do that. That's what Arjun said. Let's leave the battle. I will go and beg for food, and I will go and live in the forest and whatever. So if that is what Bhagwan meant or means, Bhagwan would have said, yes, give up action. Since Bhagwan did not allow him, it tells us that renunciation, when Bhagwan says action has to be renounced, it is not a physical renunciation of action. And this chapter is now going to elaborate on that. That is one aspect of this chapter. The other aspect of this chapter, I think before we closed, I said this chapter is also very beautiful. Every chapter is beautiful, but every chapter has its own beauty. You know, like there are so many flowers, right? Variety of flowers, but each flower has its own beauty. Like rose has its own, lotus has its own beauty. You know, all the other flowers, each one has its own special shape, special fragrance, special colors. That way, these chapters, each one has its own importance. One importance is, like I said, it's renunciation. The attention in karma yoga is on the ego, and that ego is surrendered to a higher altar. That is karma yoga. Okay. And so the attention is where it's on the ego. Oh, I have an ego. You need an ego to act. The ego, I'm surrendering. So the attention is on the ego. Now what we are doing is, in 4, we will learn to shift the attention to the pure self. It's a shift in attention. Karma is not changing. Same action. If you are a mother, you take care of your children. If you're a teacher, you do that. If whatever that you are. But in karma yoga, the attention was on the ego or your own ego. Now that attention is going to be shifted onto the pure self. The second aspect of this chapter is the secret of Bhagwan's birth. Bhagwan's birth is called as an avatar. As you know, Bhagwan took avatar on this planet. Now, we are also Bhagwan only, Jiva is Ishwara. Why is not my birth called avatar? My birth is called ordinary birth. So we will also understand that the purpose of his birth is also given. Bhagwan himself tells what his purpose is, why he has come onto this planet, on this earth. So that also is another important factor of this chapter. And that is the beauty. The third thing that this chapter also enumerates and gives us the importance is of the Guru Shishya Parampara. So we see that here as well. Upanishads tell us that Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidhi Dhyasanam are the means to liberation. Shravanam being the first one, and Shravanam the word Shravanam itself presupposes a speaker, because you're listening. So there's some speaker, there's a presupposition of speaker in the word itself, Shravana. And of course, there are people who are also telling me, why do I need to come? I don't need to come. Actually, this is what I was told. I don't need to come to class because there are so many YouTube videos. And I love all the Swamijis on the YouTube. And I'm watching YouTube. So I don't have to. Which is okay. But what we need to understand is the YouTube lecture or the teacher in that video cannot judge you, cannot know what progress you are making or what your understanding is, which a live speaker can. The live teacher, just looking at the face, at the eyes, the live teacher, oh, this person is getting confused, or this person has not understood very correctly. Maybe I should say it in a different way. Maybe I should water it down a little bit more. These type of things you're not going to get on YouTube. Even when you learn chanting from, I myself have learned, I've learned from a live guru also, but also from the tape. If I am chanting incorrectly, the tape cannot tell me, but the guru can. The teacher used to repeat. I remember when we were learning chanting, even if one person, he would again repeat 2-3 times, still then everybody would be in this thing. So that part you don't get from YouTube. You can't get it from YouTube CD. It is necessary, but it should not be the whole. That all of my Shravanam I'm going to do on YouTube. Why do I need to come to class? That attitude should not be there. So with that introduction, we will begin this chapter. Atha chaturthodhyayah Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavanaham Avyayam Vivasvanamanaveg Praha Manurikshvakave Bravit. The Blessed Lord said, I taught this imperishable yoga to Vivasvan. Vivasvan taught it to Manu. Manu taught it to Ikshvaku. Bhagavan word we have explained many times. One, possessor, Bhaga, the 6 qualities in complete 100% of the time, at all times, at all places. Aishwarya, Yasha, Dharma. I have to think now. Aishwarya, Yasha, Dharma, Jnana, Vairagya. There's one more. There's complete prosperity, Aishwarya, lordship, Yasha, success, Dharma, righteousness, knowledge, Jnana, in spite of having all that knowledge and all that prosperity, etc., the Vairagya, and there is one more. So I have explained this before. So Bhagavan is the possessor, and therefore we have Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, and we don't have Sri Krishna Uvacha. Bhagavan is important. In this, Bhagavan says, it starts off with his own statement. Imam Vivasvate Yogam. Imam Yogam. Imam Yogam includes chapter 2 and chapter 3. The Lord of the word Imam, this yoga, which yoga? Karma Yoga as explained in chapter 3 and Jnana Yoga as explained in chapter 2. So this word yoga includes both Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. Okay, so the entire philosophy, that is what he says. Imam Yogam Vivasvate Proktam. I taught this imperishable yoga. Proktavana Avyayam word, this yoga, which is imperishable. Why is it imperishable? Imperishable cannot be destroyed because the goal is imperishable, right? Because what is the goal of Jnana Yoga? Moksha. Knowledge is of the pure self. The pure self itself is imperishable. We have already seen that. It's not born. It cannot be destroyed. It doesn't decay. It doesn't change. It doesn't have any disease. So that goal being imperishable, the knowledge also has to be imperishable. Because if the goal is imperishable and the knowledge is going to perish, then how will anybody reach the goal? So that's why he says this yoga is imperishable. It's because of these two. First reason is that the goal is imperishable. If the goal is imperishable, the means have to be imperishable. Because if the means are going to perish and the goal is going to remain, who is going to reach that goal? So that's why Avyayam, it was told to Vivasman. Vivas and then Van. This is the break of that word. Van is again the possessor and Vivas is brilliance. So the possessor of brilliance, just like Bhagavan is, Van is the possessor of Bhaga, which are the 6 qualities. Same way, this Vivasvan, that means it is a name for Lord's Son. That's the idea. It is the Lord's Son because he's the possessor of brilliance. Okay, Vivasvan. Praha, then he told it to Manu. Manu is the king it's a title. Manu is not a name, it's a title. It is the title of the king of every Manvantara. Manvantara is a period of time which includes like all the 4 yugas times 1,000 or something like that. We have the 4 yugas, as all of you are familiar, the Satya Yuga, the Treta, the Dwapara, and the Kali Yuga. We are right now in Kali Yuga, the 4th Yuga. And from here, we'll be going into Satya Yuga when this finishes. But Kali Yuga, we are in the 1st quarter. So there's still many lakhs and lakhs of years remaining in Kali Yuga. So this 1,000 of these cycles become one Manvantara, and that Manvantara has a king who is called as Manu. Okay, so sun first, because at the beginning of creation, the sun has to be there first. Light has to be there for creation to happen. I believe in the Bible also it says first it was let there be light. So sun, and then sun, Lord Sun. Now, I don't know if all of you or some of you might think sun is inert. So how did Bhagwan tell this to sun? Hindu philosophy believes that behind every cosmic force, like sun, wind, rain, there is a deity. There is a living deity. That's why we see Kunti having a son from Lord Sun. S-O-N from S-U-N. Okay. It is because there is a deity. And that deity was told. This is how this is to be understood objectively. We'll also understand it subjectively. But objectively, there is a deity behind that sun that we see. Of course, the sun by itself is inert. But so how can it be told? So we should not have that doubt. That's why I'm telling you that there is a Varun Devata, Vayu Devata, all Devatas we have as per Hindu philosophy. He told it to Manu, who is the king of the Manvantara, that whole rule for that many years, number of years, who told it to Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku is the dynasty in which Sri Ram was born. So Ikshvaku is the solar dynasty. He's the original king, Ikshvaku, of the solar dynasty in which Sri Ram was born. So this is so Bhagwan is saying here that this Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, which is imperishable. Why the yoga is imperishable? Because the goal is imperishable. So the knowledge also is imperishable. I told to Lord Sun, and who told it to Manu, and who told it to Ikshvaku. Now, this is the objective explanation of this verse. Let's look at it a bit subjectively. Vivasvan, sun, is the deity of the intellect. So this pure self, okay, it first enters the intellect. How? By forming a reflection in the intellect. Technical explanation, if you were, Bhagavad Gita doesn't do technical explanations. Technical explanations have been given by Swami Vidyaranya. So those who have heard the technical part of it, otherwise you can let's just stay with one part, then we'll go into the technical parts. The pure self enters the intellect, which is represented by the word Vivasvan, sun, because sun is the deity of the intellect. And Manu is the deity of the mind. So from the intellect into the mind enters the pure self, okay? And Ikshvaku represents the sense organs. So what happens is that pure self, which is one undivided, homogenized mass, when it gets the conditioning, of the intellect first, then the mind. So there is another covering. So first it's all pure self, nothing. Now it is conditioned by the intellect, then it is also conditioned by the mind, and then it is then conditioned by the sense organs, means the body. So when we say conditioned, what it means is this pure self, which is independent, without any conditionings at all, gets conditioned, and not only gets conditioned, gets identified. And when it gets identified, it says, I am intelligent. So Jiva is saying I'm intelligent, but this Jiva is nothing but the pure consciousness. Identifying with the intellect, I say I'm intelligent. Identifying with the mind, I say I'm happy or sad, I'm sentimental, I'm angry, I'm jealous, I'm greedy. And identifying with the body, it says I am tall or thin, or short, or fat or thin, black or white, or whatever, long hair, short hair, etc., etc., etc. This is how that one undivided pure self has come. This is the subjective meaning of this, because otherwise it says, so that is one aspect of it. Now, we have the individuality and we have the totality. Okay, individual, we have seen the chart. There is the Om, the V, and then the BMI, PFT, OET. But same thing is happening in the totality. In the totality, there is Ishwara, which is the causal body, then Hiranyagarbha, which is the total subtle body, and then Virat, which is the gross body. So this pure self comes into Ishvara, into Hiranyagarbha, subtle body, and then into the gross body. Same way, the same Om, the same pure self, then comes in the individual as well. First, there is totality, and from the totality comes the individuality. So totality, Ishvara on this side it will be Pradnya. Ishvara total, Pradnya individual. Then Hiranyagarbha, and here it will be Taijasa. And Virat and Vishwa or Vaishvanara. So this is, we have the chart, which, which I think most of you have seen. We have Om, and then the V, we have the BMI, body, mind, intellect. So the same chart applies to the totality as well, where the V is Ishvara, M and I is Hiranyagarbha, and B is Virat, body. So this is how this pure self has now come down, and because of the conditionings, it appears as though fragmented. Therefore, I think I am here and you are over there, and you are separate and I am separate. And this computer is separate and I am separate from the computer. This is how this thing is functioning. This is how things are happening. Okay. All right. Then, evam parampara praptam imam rajarshyo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. This knowledge, handed down thus in regular succession, the royal sages knew. This yoga, by long lapse of time, has been lost here, O Parantapa, burner of the foes. Parantapa, name for Arjun, one who is a scorcher of foes. Tapa is coming from the word tapa, which is heat. So Parantapa, so extreme heat. Of course, not that Arjun was bodily very hot, but he was very brave, and the enemies were very scared of him. Like even if they heard his bow, the string, he would just pull and let go, and that sound, when they heard, they knew it was Gandhi, Arjuna's bow, and they would be scared. So that's why Parantapa. What he's telling, evam parampara praptam imam. So parampara, this is the Guru Shishya parampara that Bhagwan is talking about here. So original Guru is Bhagwan himself. He gave it to Lord Sun. Lord Sun gave it to Manu, Ikshwaku, who is the king. Now Ikshwaku would have given it to his sons, disciples, whatever. One more point that we should understand here, and going back, is in the first verse, is that Lord Sun, Manu, and Ikshwaku are all Kshatriyas. That is one more point there. Why is Bhagwan giving this knowledge to Kshatriyas? Why not the Brahmanas? That is a question that is there, because all three are Kshatriyas. So the point is that the Brahmanas, who are the possessor of this knowledge, they were not capable of fighting or protecting themselves. They were also not supposed to go and earn food. Their job was only to teach the students. That's it. What we have, like schools, residential schools, Gurukula, they will have a batch of students, and their job was to not worry where is the next meal going to come from. If the teacher is worried, where is my next meal and how am I going to feed these children, how will he teach? So he had to be absolutely protected. One thing is he had to be protected from all the enemies. And second thing is he was not to be worrying about the maintenance of the school, the children, the clothes, the food, everything. These two jobs belong to the Kshatriya kings. It was their job to protect this Brahmanas who were teaching. And therefore, they needed the knowledge more than the Brahmanas, because they needed the principles of Karma Yoga, and they also needed to understand the importance of that knowledge that Brahmana was giving to the students. Because if they don't, what is the big deal about this knowledge? Why should it be taught? Why should I be protecting the Brahmanas? This type of thoughts should not be arising in the Kshatriya king's mind. Therefore, Bhagwan is giving it to the Kshatriyas that, look, This knowledge is very, very important. It has to be given out, and the one who is giving out has to be protected and has to. And so you have to do karma yoga, and you should know the importance of the knowledge, and you also do it as karma yoga, so you can also reach that liberation. And therefore, it was very important that the Kshatriyas were told this knowledge. And therefore, it was told to the Kshatriyas by Bhagwan. Okay, that's it. Now, this Kshatriyas were following that. They were told, Lord Sun till today is considered as the greatest karma yogi. Has he ever taken leave on a Sunday? Slept in? Has he ever said, Are kya, to how much I'm tired now, I want to take some rest? He's the greatest karma yogi. Don't forget that. We take it for granted, every day the sunrise, we just take it for granted. So we should never do that. Okay. So this parampara, which is, that's what we said, Guru Shishya, the tradition, parampara is tradition. So it goes from, Guru to Shishya, then that Shishya becomes a Guru, and then Shishya, this. Rajarshayo Vidu. So this was known by the Rajarshi. Rajarshi is Raja plus Rishi. Rajarshi. So the royal saints. So royal saint cannot be royal. So royal saint means king. Means what? He's a saint also, but he's royal indicates his kingship. Kshatriya, royal. He's the royal king. But he's a saint as well because he has got his knowledge. So that's why Rajarshi is that. Raja plus Rishi. He's Raja also, he's king also, but he has the knowledge also. So he's doing karma yoga. The Bhagavad Gita has mentioned Raja Janak, right? Through karma yoga, he attained liberation. He was administrator of the kingdom, and through that he attained, which tells us, it's a message to us that we necessarily need not be looking for sannyas and going away somewhere. We can stay where we are and still attain liberation. So this Raja, Sa Kale Neha Mahata, Yogo Nashta Parantapa. But what happened was, unfortunately, as time passed, this yoga got Nashta, destroyed. Now, in the previous verse, he said Avyaya. Now he's saying this yoga got destroyed. What do you mean? Yoga got destroyed means what? Yoga got destroyed means yoga can never get destroyed. Okay, this karma yoga, the principles of karma, jnana, and the pure can never get destroyed. But what gets destroyed is if I don't follow it. For me, it is destroyed. Again, I go back to my same example of flu shot, because now it's again coming, flu shots are coming, right? So if I take a flu vaccination, the virus is not, it's there, but for me, it is as though killed. For me, I'm protected from the virus like that. The yoga is there, but if the people are not going to follow, then that yoga is as good as destroyed. Nashta. This is what it means. Now the question is, why would people not follow? These are Rajarshis. They were given this knowledge. One reason is too much desires. This is what happens. So even though I have the knowledge, the desires are so extreme that I transgress. So then what happens is, even though I know that karma has to be done as karma yoga, I don't. Because too many desires in the mind is what will pull me away from this path. If it pulls me away from the path, then it is as though destroyed for me. Should not be taken that it's just destroyed completely. This nashta word, please understand, okay? Because avyaya is there, and immediately in the next verse, there's nashta. Okay. The other reason that it can get lost is maybe I want to teach, but there are no students. Nobody wants to listen. There is another. Suppose if I say, yes, I'm willing to teach, but none of you come here. Now, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So it's as though the knowledge is lost. That is the reason. These are the two reasons here. What he's saying is, over time, we were giving it. This was given. It was given and it was being passed. But over time, the kings got overpowered by desire. So they were not following it themselves. That is one reason. So I don't follow it, and now I'm trying to teach somebody else. It doesn't work. And then So when the student also sees that what is this teacher is doing everything and now then they will also not follow, they will also not listen. And because of these two reasons, one is too many desires, one is no students, nobody wants to listen, this yoga got nashta, got lost. Okay, this is what it means. Now, sa evayam maya te, no, Saevayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratanah bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttamam. That same ancient yoga has been today taught to thee by me, for you are my devotee and my friend. This is a supreme secret. So that same ancient imam yogam that he talked about in verse 1, imam yogam, I told you, the jnana yoga and the karma yoga is now that ancient. Why is it ancient? Because like from Lord Sun it is going on, like from the beginning of creation. Lord Sun is where beginning of creation, so it's that ancient. One interpretation of this is, I am not telling you anything new, Arjun. It is not like you had this problem and now I took out a solution from my hat and now I'm telling it to you. This has always been there. This is to be understood. Ancient, by saying ancient yoga, it has always been. I have not told you anything new. The same thing I had told Lord Sun at the beginning of creation, but over time, because it got lost, I am regenerating that information. Like we even assign, see, even our scriptures and all were like totally lost. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya reinstated all the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita by writing commentaries on them, right? So that's why he's saying that this is not new. This is what the meaning is here, that ancient yoga means it has always been there. I am now today, I have already taught you. See, has been taught, has been today taught. Because why? 2 and 3 chapters are over. Jnana yoga and karma yoga are over. So I've already taught you this yoga, okay? This ancient recipe. Why? Because you're my devotee as well as my friend. Here he calls him both. Devotee he calls because, if you remember chapter 2 in the beginning, Arjun says, I'm surrendering to your feet. That makes him a devotee, a disciple. And he loved Bhagwan Krishna. So he was a devotee, he was a disciple, and he was as well a friend. So about this friend, Bhagwan is calling him a friend. There is a story of Arjuna when he had gone to the forest, when they were in exile for 12 years. Bhagwan told him that don't take this as a rest period. You have to prepare for war because there is going to be a huge war. And he had told Arjun that you need to meditate on Lord Shiva to get the Pashupati Astra from him. That's what Krishna had told him. So he meditated on, he was meditating on Lord Shiva rather. And they were Kshatriyas, so they hunted and then they had their food. So he, it was his lunchtime, so he went hunting and he hit a boar, you know. But when he went there, there was another arrow in that boar. So that time the rule was that whoever arrow struck the animal first, that animal belonged to that hunter. And when he goes there were two side by side, the arrows. One was his, he knew, but one he didn't know. And then there was an ordinary hunter there. No, my arrow has hit this animal first, so this, it's mine. And Arjun said, no, it's mine. So how do you reconcile this? So the Arjun says, don't you know who I am? You know, like means he says, no, I don't know who you are. Who are you? He says, I'm Arjun. He says, Arjun who? I don't know. You can be anybody. This is the forest. It's my arrow first. He says, I am the grandson of Bhishma Pitama. He says, oh, that one who kidnapped the girls, then the, you know, the king refused to marry that one girl, then he took that girl somewhere back. Bhishmacharya. So what's the big deal? He said, I am the disciple of Guru Drona, he says. Who Dronacharya, he says. I don't know, that he was begging for food at one point. He was very poor, and now he's in employment of the Kauravas, and he's. So Arjun says, I am a friend of Sri Krishna, he says, finally. Because he says, who are you? I still don't know. What is this? Krishna, he says, Are that one who was playing with the gopis? And then he went and married 16,000 people, like women. What are you talking, Krishna? Then Arjuna gets mad. He says, you made fun of me? Fine. Okay. You made fun of Bhishma Pitama, who is my favorite grandfather. I kept quiet. And my guru also, you said, who the big deal is he? That's one thing. But Krishna, he says, no way. Now there's going to be a fight. You and me fight now over Krishna. So this fight, of course, the story goes that Arjun couldn't defeat him. Neither was Arjun defeated, nor was the hunter defeated, but Arjuna's pride. He said, how can there be a person on this earth? Because Arjuna had never lost any battle. There was nobody whom he could not defeat. And now this hunter, then Arjuna realizes that this is not an ordinary hunter. It is somebody special. And he surrenders. He says, you can't be an ordinary hunter. Tell me who you are. And then Lord Shiva appears. So it is Lord Shiva who says, I came to test that Pashupati Astra you're meditating for. I have to know that the person is worthy, the person who I'm going to give it to. And a person who is a friend of Krishna's can never do wrong with my Astra. So I will give it to you because you're a friend of Krishna. That's why he says it. So now this story only these two knew, but Bhagwan knew it too. Bhagwan knew everything. So Bhagwan knew that that's why he says, you're my friend. You are my devotee also. You are my disciple also, because you've surrendered. You love me. You have loved me. Because of that love, because of that he fought. He loved Bhishma also, but he kept quiet. Himself, he must have loved, but he kept quiet. Then he said, who Arjun? I don't know whoever Arjun is. And that would be a big blow to his ego, because everybody knew Arjun in those days. Even now we know, but that time. So that's why this mention is made here by Bhagwan saying, you are my friend. And therefore now the supreme secret. Now this word secret, secret is, I have a little note here. Okay. A disciple is one who is qualified for knowledge. A devotee is one who loves the knowledge and the guru, right? Devotion is coming. So these three words are there. Disciple is one who submits to discipline. So he is capable. He's qualified to receive the knowledge. Devotee loves the knowledge because he loves the guru. So whatever the guru tells him, that's why one thing about the spiritual studies they say is the heart has to be softened. It actually has to enter. Usually knowledge, outside knowledge, enters through the intellect. But the spiritual knowledge, they say, has to enter through the heart. And heart means the heart has to be made soft in love. Either you love the guru or you love the knowledge. That love, that bhakti has to be there. Bhakti is like, like you might have 10 different types of laundry detergents. There's Tide and there's Gain and there's this and that and that and that. But if you don't have water, will you be able to wash the clothes? So there are many means. So there's Jnana Marga, there's Karma Marga, there's Hatha Yoga, there's this yoga, that yoga, whatever yoga, Patanjali's pranayama, pratyahara, all that is there. But that bhakti is the water. So bhakti has to be in and through all those methods. Otherwise, you will not stay with it. Bhakti is love. Here we take bhakti in the form of love. If you love either the guru or the knowledge, you will stay with it. That's why this devotee word also becomes important. So you have the love. You have love for me. So whatever I tell you, you're going to have faith in it and you're going to follow. So it doesn't matter, because knowledge Arjun didn't have. But the love he definitely had for Krishna. So he says, you have the love. Okay, that. And friend is the one who can question the teacher on an equal basis. And that's what we see here, that Arjuna had all these questions. He wasn't scared of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. He wasn't scared. Oh, can I ask this question? Will I look stupid? What will happen? He didn't have those fears. So that's why he says your friend. So as a friend, he has already asked questions before. Chapter 3 asked. Now again, he's going to ask a question. And throughout the Bhagavad Gita, when we study, we'll see that he asks questions, not to judge the knowledge of the teacher, but with a genuine difficulty, a genuine doubt. Okay, so that's why this ancient yoga, which is not new, I've not pulled it out of my hat right now, I'm giving it to you, and because you are all these three rolled in one. Okay, all right. Now, Arjuna Vacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha kathametadvijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. Arjuna said, later on was your birth and prior was the birth of Vivasvan. How am I to understand that you taught this yoga in the beginning? So this also question is for us, because we have started to wonder, like, how come Bhagavan taught it? Bhagavan is saying, I taught it. So one thing, so he's saying aparam bhavato janma. Aparam is after, later, in time. Aparam is param is supreme, aparam is lower, but here it is with respect to time. So the lower is afterwards in time. So you are younger than Vivasvan, because sun has been there since the beginning of creation. But I saw not that I saw your birth, but I know that you're only a few years older than me, and sun is so old, like is so ancient. So how do I reconcile this idea that you gave it to Vivasvan? You gave it to Lord Sun. So this is also question is a genuine question. It's for us. Maybe Arjun knew, but again, I said all the questions of Arjun are meant for us so that we don't have any doubts of this nature. Okay. So this is what he says. Arjun Vacha. This is a simple question. How do I understand? Kathamed vijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. How do I understand that you told this knowledge to Lord Sun? How do I understand that? Now Bhagavan starts his discourse once again. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tvamaham veta sarv. It's very much this thing, sorry. Tvamaham veda sarvani natvam veta parantapa. The Blessed Lord said, many births of mine have passed, as well as yours, Arjuna. I know them all, but you know them not, O Parantapa, scorcher of foes. So Parantapa, once again, a name for Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, understand that this is not my first birth. Neither is it yours. Neither is it yours. Many births I have taken. This same thing he also had said in verse chapter 2, where he says that not only that I have had many births, you and all these other kings, pointing to the Kauravas, all of them on the battlefield have had many births. I know them all. You don't know them. That time also he had said. Here also he says that many births have passed away and I know them all. So here there are two principles here that we have to understand. One is the difference between Jiva and Ishwara. So Ishwara avatar also has happened many times, but every time an avatar has happened, that entity has known all its previous birth. That's why Bhagavan, one definition of Bhagavan is one who knows all the past, the present, and the future of all jivas. Simultaneously, Ishwara is said to know, this is definition from Vishnu Puran, that he is the one. And what is the difference between Jiva? I don't even know my own past birth, let alone know somebody else's past birth. That is the difference. That's the difference between Jivatva and Ishwaratva. That's why he says, I am Ishwara. I am the Lord of the world. I am the Lord of the universe. And I know that I have taken birth. I know the purpose. That's why he's going to now explain the principle of his own birth. But you don't know. You don't know the purpose of your birth also, and you don't know why the birth is happening. So this is also the other thing is creation and destruction. By saying that many births have happened means what? Many creations have happened, right? Birth is creation, death is destruction. So many creations have happened, many destructions have happened. We know the yugas, we know that they were created, they were destroyed every time. So at a total level, and all this I know, all these changes I know. If I know all the changes, who am I? I'm the substratum of the change. This is what he's saying. How do I know all the births? Because I am the substratum of the change. See, understand this at the individual level. That way it will be easy for you to understand, for us all to understand. Don't I know what I may not know all the details, but I know now that my body was like this in my childhood. Now it was like that. I know that, oh, then my hair started going gray. It was not gray before. It was long before. Now it became short. Now it became thin. Don't I know all the changes? And why is it that I know all the changes in my body or mind also, or taste? I used to like this and now I don't like it. I used to not like it. Now I like it. How do I? Because I'm the substratum of that change. I am unchanging. See, if my childhood body, I was a child, and then I became a middle-aged body, and then I became middle-aged, the substratum, how will I remember what I was in my childhood? Because I remained the same. Do you get this point? The point is very important. I, as the Jiva, for me, for us, take it as Jiva. Don't worry about Ishwaratva. As the Jiva, I am unchanging. I have not changed. My mind has changed. Okay? I am saying the bigger. My mind has changed. My body has changed. My hair has changed. My intellect has changed. Maybe there are so many things I didn't know. Now I know. What I go on saying, I changed, is actually not, because if I myself would have changed, I would not have known the change. Is this point, is it being understood clearly? This point is very important. The one who is the one who is changing cannot remember the change, because you see the thing changed and it changed. It's become something else. How it, if the change it took place and it became something else, that entity with change cannot remember the previous what it was. But what is happening is there is one, or the example is of the you can say the screen, like the things, on the screen they change. We suppose, take, you go for a movie, okay? Now you see a scene which is whatever, forest or whatever. Now from the forest, the scene changes to a house. Now, if the screen, the substratum, which is the screen, also actually from forest, it actually became the house. How will the change be noticed? The substratum, changeless substratum is there. So whatever changes are happening on top of that substratum are being remembered. Is everybody getting this point? Okay, good. So this, or the total level, what Bhagavan is saying, by saying that many births have happened mine, many deaths have happened of mine, means what? Means many creations have happened, many destructions have happened. I have remained unchanged, and therefore I know. Whereas for you, you have not identified with the substratum. The question arises, okay, then why can't I remember? Because my identification right now is the body, mind, and intellect. So as the body changed, I say I changed. I became tall. I became short. I became old. I became middle-aged. This is how I'm referring to myself. I'm saying, oh, I was very sentimental. Now I'm not very sentimental. I was very happy. Now I'm sad. Everything is, my identification is with the body, mind, intellect. So I think that I am changing. Actually, I'm not changing. I have not changed at all. And because I have not changed, I remember what my childhood was what my middle age was, what my old age is. I remember everything in only in this birth though, not in the previous births. Okay. This is the principle here in this verse. And then he's going to start with his own uh, the principle of his own avatar. So we will start that next time. Are there any questions? It's it's an important verse, because this is what is telling us the difference between Jiva and Ishwara, Jivatva and Paramatma Tattva, this one. Okay. Paramatma, Bhagwan, is not identified with any of his upadhis. You have to understand that. That is where our problem is. It's our identification with the body, mind, and intellect, which is creating all the problem. The minute you separate yourself, this is what happened to Arjun in the first chapter. He identified with his body. He thought, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a body, I'm Arjun, and now I'm the grandson of so-and-so, disciple of so-and-so, cousin of so-and-so. And they are my people. But as that Jivatma, there is only oneness. So there is no differentiation. Okay. Anybody wants to say or add anything or ask anything, most importantly? No questions? No questions. Okay, so I will just read the 6th verse, but we will go into its explanation next time. Ajo pisan vyayatma bhutanamishwaropi san prakrutim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Though I am unborn, of imperishable nature, and though I am the Lord of all beings, yet ruling over my own nature, I am born by my own Maya. So now he tells how he is born, because he said that I have had many, many births. So now he explains in this, and in the next verses, he will explain the purpose. So Ajopi, he says, I am unborn. So what we have to understand here is, I also, as that supreme reality, I'm actually unborn. What is born is my body. And what birthdays I'm celebrating is my body's birthday. And what will happen is this body will die. But I am unborn. If you can really grasp that idea, it takes away the fear of death. See, people think that they are going to die. That's why that fear is there. Fear of death is there, right? So this is why Ajo piece is, even though I am never born, I'm beginningless, because of which I'm endless. He's talking from the highest level. He's talking from the level of the pure self. He's not talking from the level of Krishna, because Krishna, the body was born. And so he says, and even though I'm imperishable, so not born automatically indicates no death. Bhutanam Ishwaropi San, I am the Lord of all the beings. Bhutanam here is all beings. So it's not just human beings, animals, plants, whatever you see, inert, sentient, both objects, because Bhutanam, not Manav, he's not used the word Manava or anything like that. So it's not just I'm Lord of the humans, I'm the Lord of the animals as well. Bhutanam Ishwaropi San, Prakrutim Swamadhishtaya. This is very important. Prakrutim is Maya, Prakriti Maya, Prakriti consisting of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. He says this Maya is under my control. That is the main difference between Jiva and Ishwara. Ishwara has Prakriti under his control, and we are under the control of Prakriti. Prakriti controls us, and Bhagwan controls Prakriti. That is the difference. We'll see in detail. Sambhavami, bhavami, bhava, to become. Sambhavami, I become a human being, as though I become. We have seen in his avatars, he became a fish also first. Why? Because his Maya is under his control. I want to be a fish. I want to be a boar. He became a boar. Then he became a turtle in that milky churning of the milky ocean. He says, oh, I need to become a turtle, because that is the form I need to support that mountain. So what do I need to become? See, even in Ramayana, all the Vanaras, they were all the deities. Deities they were, right? The deity said, oh, Bhagwan is becoming Nara, so we will become Vanara. We'll become one notch down. We'll take birth as the monkeys. So all of them had Maya under their control. So they said, I want a birth as a monkey. So they get a monkey birth. Even though we say, I want a beautiful body, I may not get that. Chances are I won't. Okay, so that is the difference. He says, Sambhavami, I just appear. Sambhavami is appear, like Bhava, I become like whatever that I want to be. So this time I wanted to be a human being. So I came as a human being. Also, I wanted to be born in the middle of the night was there any reason for him to proclaim to Kamsa that, Devki's 8th child is, was there? No. Time pass. He was doing time pass. He thought, oh, let me just proclaim. Let me just have some fun. He would have gotten a birth in a royal palace. She was his favorite sister. But no, he wanted to do that. It's his Leela. We'll see the details next time. So I'm going to close. I don't know why my watch on the computer is not working today. Anyway. Next Sunday, we meet at 9:15 again. Any questions? Anything? Okay. All right.